Welcome to Mix History, where we travel through time to meet the legends who shaped humanity with their wisdom, courage, and compassion. Today, we tell the story of a man who lit up not only the skies with his rockets, but also millions of hearts with his humility. Dr. A.P.J. Abdul Kalam the Missile Man of India and the People's President. This is not just a story of a scientist or a president. It is the story of a dreamer. A boy from Rameswaram, who looked at the sky and promised himself to reach the stars. Let's begin his journey from the sands of Rameswaram to the Rashtrapati Bhavan. Our story begins on October 15, 1931, in the small coastal town of Rameswaram in Tamil Nadu, India. The air smelled of the sea, and the rhythm of the waves whispered stories of simplicity and survival. Born into a modest Tamil Muslim family, Kalam was the youngest of 5 children. His father, Jainuddin, was a boat owner and a deeply spiritual man who believed in honesty and kindness. His mother, Ashiama, was a gentle woman who served the poor and fed anyone who came hungry to her doorstep. Life was not easy. The family had limited means, Kalam often said. We lived in poverty, but we were never poor in values. To support his family, he sold newspapers as a child, waking up before sunrise to help his cousin distribute them. Even as a boy, Kalam had a fascination with flight. He would sit for hours on the seashore, watching birds soar freely across the sky. "I want to fly," he would whisper to himself. Though no one could have guessed it then. One day, it really would not with wings, but with rockets. Kalam studied at the Schwartz Higher Secondary School in Ramah. His teachers noticed his curiosity. He wasn't always the top student, but his hunger for learning was unmatched. One teacher who changed his life was Siva Subramania. This science teacher took young Kalam to the seashore, pointing at the flight of birds and explaining aerodynamics. Kalam later said, "That day, I knew what I wanted to do with my life." After finishing school, he went to St. Joseph's College, graduating in physics in 1954. But his real dream to design airplanes took him to the Madras Institute of Technology, or MIT, in 1955, where he studied aerospace engineering. MIT was tough. Kalam had to work hard to pay the fees. When his professors gave him a tight deadline to design an aircraft prototype, he worked day and night to complete it. Upon his success, his professor told him, "Kalam, I was putting pressure on you to make you realize your own potential." That became a life lesson for him. Great dreams require great discipline. In 1960, Kalam graduated from MIT and joined the Defense Research and Development Organization, DRDO, as a scientist. But his heart was in space. In 1969, he joined the Indian Space Research Organization, ISRO, under the guidance of Dr. Vikram Sarabhai, the father of the Indian space program. Kalam became the project director for India's first satellite launch vehicle, SLV-3. It was an enormous dream. India had never launched its own satellite before. They worked from scratch, often in small sheds, with limited funds, but enormous determination. In 1980, after years of trial and failure, SLV-3 successfully placed the Rohini satellite into orbit, making India one of the few nations with satellite launch capability. When the rocket lifted off from Sriharikota, Kalam stood silently, his eyes wet with tears. That day, India's dream touched the sky. After the SLV success, Kalam moved back to DRDO in 1982 to lead India's Integrated Guided Missile Development Program. This was the era when India's defense systems needed indigenous power. Under his leadership, India developed several powerful missiles: Agni Prithvi, Nag, Akash, and Trish. Because of these breakthroughs, the nation started calling him the Missile Man of India. But beyond weapons, Kalam believed in peace. Often, side strength. Respect strength. For him, defense was about protecting the nation, not dominating others. In 1998, India conducted the Pokhran II nuclear tests, and Kalam played a key role as the chief scientific advisor to the Prime Minister. That moment made India a nuclear power, and Kalam a household name. Despite his fame, Kalam remained simple and grounded. He lived like a monk, honing little, sleeping little, and dreaming endlessly. His room contained only a few clothes, a veena, which he loved to play, and piles of books. He believed that knowledge shared as knowledge multiplied. That's why he wrote books like Wings of Fire, Ignited Minds, and India 2020, inspiring millions of young minds to dream big. In his speeches, he always said, "Dream, dream, dream." Dreams transform into thoughts, and thoughts result in action. He often told children, if you want to shine like the sun, first burn like the sun. In 2002, a surprise awaited the nation. Dr. A.P.J. Abdul Kalam was elected as the 11th President of India. For the first time, a scientist, not a politician, was chosen to be the head of state, and India rejoiced. He accepted the role with humility and grace, calling himself a servant of the people. He opened the doors of the presidential palace, Rashtrapati Bhavan, to students, inviting children to visit and ask questions. He refused luxury, insisted on self-discipline, and lived as an example of simplicity. He would spend hours replying to letters from students and answering emails personally. Once, when a child asked him, "Sir, why did you become the president?" he smiled and said, "To see more smiles on young faces." For him, leadership was not about power, it was about purpose. It was about purpose. After completing his term in 2007, Kalam returned to what he loved most. Teaching, he became a visiting professor at IIM Shillong, Anna University, and many other institutions. He spent every day meeting students, motivating them to innovate, to think, and to build the India of tomorrow. He launched programs like the What Can I Give movement, urging youth to contribute to society with compassion. He envisioned India 2020, a roadmap for transforming India into a developed nation. He said, "A developed India is not one where the rich have cars, but where the poor can walk with dignity." He never stopped learning. He never stopped dreaming. Even in his 80s, he carried his laptop and a bag full of ideas. On July 27, 2015, Kalam arrived at IIM Shillong to deliver a lecture titled "Creating a Livable Planet Earth." As he began to speak, he smiled at the audience, and within moments, he collapsed on stage. He passed away doing what he loved most, teaching. The entire nation fell silent. Millions wept as his body, draped in the Indian flag, was laid to rest in his hometown of Ran. In his death, he gave his final message, that life's purpose is to serve others till the very last breath. Dr. Kalam left behind no money, no property, no power, only ideas, love, and inspiration. His life is proof that greatness doesn't come from birth, but from faith, hard work, and integrity. He showed us that a poor boy from a small town could rise to become a world leader through education and character. He taught us to believe in ourselves, to see science as a path to peace, and to use knowledge to uplift humanity. Today, schools, scholarships, and research centers across India bear his name, but his true memorial lives in the hearts of every child who dreams. As we end this journey, let us remember his golden words. You have to dream before your dreams can come true. Dr. A.P.J. Abdul Kalam was not just the missile man, he was the people's dream. He didn't just build rockets, he built hope. He didn't just aim for the sky, he taught us all to fly. This was the story of a man who turned his struggles into strength, his failures into fuel, and his dreams into destiny. If you felt inspired, remember, Kalam's story is not just history, it's a call to action for all of us. Let's keep his dream alive. Thank you for watching Make History. Until next time, keep dreaming, keep doing, and keep making history.